Most of Brighton Hove has been built over now. Wherever you look, it's just going to be concrete. However, there are strands of corridors where wild plants and wildlife can live. So here at Brighton Greenway, we've got a small section of green space which runs down into the very heart of Brighton. We've got native trees and plants growing here. We'll have birds breeding in here during the spring. So it's reconnecting us as urban dwellers with what I think are Brighton's real first inhabitants, which are the plants and animals that came here 12,000, 15,000 years ago.
Brighton Greenway is a green corridor based on an old railway line in the New England quarter.
One of the striking aspects of the site is the heritage aspects, and it's part of a splendid collection of Victorian architecture and industrial architecture in the area.
The south end of Brighton Greenway starts at Stroudley Road and runs above Exeter Square. An urban site of nature conservation, it provides a rich variety of native vegetation. It continues north to the listed bridge on the viaduct over New England Road. Here, local artist John Mills has installed his sculpture Ghost Train. His other sculptural work on the site consists of giant tools based on railway implements. Just beyond the bridge, steps lead down the embankment to the Greenway's northern entrance off New England Road. Here's the Ghost Train clearly visible on the other side of the viaduct, an iconic local landmark that echoes the Greenway's past. In the 19th century, Brighton Station was the site of the Brighton Locomotive Works, where trains were built. What is now Brighton Greenway was the lower goods track. To support new buildings, a set of concrete posts was constructed. These pillars and archways from the original site are now a main feature of Brighton Greenway.
Once the locomotive works here were closed at the end of the 1950s, the factory was taken over briefly by the Exeter Company, who made the bubble car for the UK market. But they closed down in the early 60s. And from that time on, until around about 2004, actually nature was taking over. And this area became a wildlife corridor till the beginning of the millennium. And it was at that point that there were plans for the redevelopment of this area as the New England quarter, and some quite exciting proposals for housing.
I think there are a number of people who would like to see this area being looked after and develop into what it was intended to be and what it really should be. The real idea behind this is not that this doesn't operate in isolation, but this begins to form a green network throughout the city for habitats and animals and for people as well to get past without the streets and the cars and everything.
When this area was developed as the New England quarter, it had to be protected, and the idea then was it should become a wildlife corridor and a pedestrian walkway. And when the Greenway opened, it looked spectacular. It's a site that needs very careful looking after, because it needs to be both lovely for people and great for wildlife. And in the course of the years after its opening, it became very tatty, littered, lots of graffiti, and it became a space which was not very pleasant for people to walk through, and people stopped walking through here. So that kind of sounded alarm bells in local groups of people who walk along this area, who enjoy the pedestrian space, and more people got involved, and we started to clarify what it was that people wanted to happen here.
And then who's going to do it? So
there's issues with drugs, drink, and also people sleeping rough.
Apart from this, there's no real reason to go down there unless we give it a reason.
But also walking information, walking trails.
I feel that ownership is a real key element.
By the beginning of 2015, a group called Friends of Brighton Greenway was formed. An action day brought volunteers together to start clearing up the site.
If we can do that and just go steadily, little by little, that will, you'll end up with a nice, clear, grassy patches, which is what we're wanting. There's a point to some of the areas that we leave wild. There's a point to some of the areas that we trim right back. There's an element of it that is left completely wild, and to some that may look unkempt and untidy, but that's actually about encouraging wildlife.
Nettles bite the dust.
Peer learning and peer support is a really important factor.
This is lovely. Now pull your spade, that's it, and then pull it down. Hey, great. I'm going to do the same.
I'm a great walker. I think any place that's new to walk away from traffic is a great boon to a neighbourhood, and I'm more than happy to come along once a month and lend my efforts to tidying up and improving the garden, and doing it with some great volunteers.
My son is at St Bart's School just down the road, and it would be lovely to make this a space which was safe and attractive for the kids in this area to come and play, because there's not a lot of green space.
By midsummer, Brighton Greenway was looking inviting again.
I was just thinking that the pop-up picnic sounds a really good idea.
The Friends group decided to hold a pop-up picnic on the site during the Heritage Weekend in September. With unreliable weather, it was more pop-up than picnic, but it did attract some local residents. Friend of Brighton Greenway, Pete West, who also happens to be ward councillor and deputy mayor, showed up in a friendly official capacity. A local dance school, Bird Studios, came along to perform a dance they'd created for the occasion. Elspeth, a former lecturer, led a guided history tour through the area.
Yes, they were the arch rivals, and you'll hear more about them as we get to London Road Station. Yes, please, if anyone's hungry or thirsty, please grab something as you go past.
Here, and it's been a fantastic event today to put on picnic here, is I think the first big event that the group's had.
It's been very nice to see how everybody, businesses, some of the local church, the community groups, how everybody has sort of, got involved. We're all pressured for time and everything like that, but there is sort of a genuine will to bring this forward. So I'm quite excited to see where this might go.
It's a lovely space. It's a very special space. It's not a run-of-the-mill park. And it needs all of us to get together to maintain it as a really special place in the centre of Brighton.